Okay. Ha, I'm ready to have mochi without the actual mochi. Something's out of order. Ha. Hi y'all, welcome to One Hungry Mish. It's Mish here. So one of the things I wanted to show everyone today is the secret to making your own ice cream mochi. I know, who doesn't like mochi? I think it's just that thing that's kind of withstood time. And one of the things I really want to do is show you that it is actually possible to make not only your own mochi, you can make regular filled mochi with red bean paste or any of the fillings, or just have it without filling, but it actually is possible to make your own ice cream mochi, which I think is pretty cool, especially because nowadays, I have friends and family with certain allergies, certain dietary constraints, certain flavors that we'd like to explore that we never see in the shop. So figured it'd be a cute little thing to just try out together. I have the ingredients to make the mochi. You need mochiko flour, you're going to need sugar, you're going to need a starch. You can need tapioca starch, potato starch, cornstarch. Just really, it's a thing to deal with the stickiness of mochi, as well as water and any flavoring if you want any particular flavors in your mochi itself. But the secret to making your life easier when it comes down to making ice cream in your mochi, this guy. Or just honestly any molds if you are, I would say, not as elegant at making your own freeform molds. I don't have ice cream scoopers, that probably would work as well, but I do have these little dome silicone pads from when I was going through a wannabe candy making phase. Definitely not good at making candy, but it was worth a try, but these end up being really good. So what I'm going to do is just fill this with an ice cream of choice and let it re-harden up, and that'll be what I wrap this in. This being the mochi. Also, one of the things I wanted to say is shout out to my friend who called out my pocket phase I'm going through. There's pockets in this apron, wearing it because starches get everywhere, it's a mess. But also because, one of the experiments I was doing with the boar meat was making ravioli, and then now being like, I want to make mochi, I want to make this. Oh, I kind of wish I was making dumplings too. And she's just like, you are in a pocket phase. Anything that's a pocket goes. Like, you're right. I appreciate you, we're doing this. I wanted to celebrate local flavors, but also have something that I thought that my friends and I would enjoy in mochi, ice cream mochi. I don't know what order actually it counts as, but I have here this Thai ice cream from a local ice cream shop that I have been keeping in the fridge to soften up. As you can tell, it's still definitely ice cream shaped. I don't want it to melt entirely because I don't know about you, but depending on how your ice cream is made, it's a thing. You end up with ice crystals if you let it completely go back to a refrigerated, melted, room temperature, what say you, and then refreeze it. Since I didn't make this myself, I am not dedicated enough to make my own ice cream. But long story short, just make sure your ice cream is softened if you're using a mold to help reshape to make your stuffed ice cream mochi easier to wrap around, because you don't want ice crystals. I mean, maybe you do, maybe you like crunchy ice cream, but not me, no. Now we stick this in the freezer for a bit, so while that's freezing, I'm going to show you how easy it is to make mochi, because thankfully with technology, you can make it in the microwave in a matter of minutes. If you want to be traditional, you can take like 10 minutes with it. Same instructions, I'll write it out, but super convenient on the microwave. Microwaves are not your enemy, they are your friend. So I have the sweet rice or mochi flour. I have half that content in sugar. So what I mean by that is saying I put in here half a cup of sweet rice flour, and then I put in a 1/4 cup of sugar. Now, the only other thing I need to add in here to get the baseline to make mochi is the same amount of flour as water. So in this case, a half cup of water. The reason I'm wording it this way is if you really decide you love mochi, you want all the mochi in the world, just keep scaling up. That ratio is the ratio you need to get what you want. If you want to add flavorings, for this size amount, I'm going to use a 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm going to have a 1/2 teaspoon of ube, not because I'm obsessed, but because I have a ton of ube flavoring still left in here. Also have a dry add-in, so it's going to be a natural blue colorant called butterfly pea flower, or is it pea flower butterfly? Either way, it is a natural additive that turns things blue, and in acidic components then turns purplish pink. But I just kind of wanted to show you all, you know, the added steps to make sure that you have the paste, liquid, that you're going to end up microwaving to make the mochi. But let's get to it. So again, I already have the flour and sugar in here, so just going to add my water. Again, this is a half cup of flour, putting a half cup of water. And it is important to note that this is actually going into a microwave safe container. Okay, hold one moment. I want to actually grab the powder to show why you need to sift. This is butterfly pea flour powder. It is the thing that is going to naturally turn it blue. The reason why I especially want to show adding, if you choose to add extra colorants or flavorants into your mochi, a powdered one, is that this is kind of an unattractive blob. But as unattractive of a blob it does make sure that everything will ultimately end up being integrated. This is going to end up probably being a pretty dark blue because I think the concentrate for this is pretty strong. But the reason I'm sifting this is to help make sure that everything integrates nicely. We don't want pockets of flour or flavor or colorant in here, is because when you microwave this, the microwave essentially acts as a accelerated steamer. An accelerated steamer in this case would mean your dry spots get drier. You want everything even so that you end up with an even translucent mochi. See, this is important. These would normally clog up into dry spots in here. So I'm going to try to see if I can, well, in this case, maybe using that was a bad idea because the parts that we're going to sift through now just congealed into a really dark blue. But again, you don't want the chunks in there. Chunks create dry spots. Dry spots are not tasty. Now I'm literally just gonna shove this in the microwave and we're gonna have some mochi. It's been a minute in the microwave. Just want you to see it has changed. It's not the same liquidy mochi it was before. Now it's more sticky, more gummy. As you can see, when you mix it, there's actually texture. It's not fully solidified yet, so it's not ready to be turned out. Just going to make sure we stir this because that helps in case you have hot spots in your microwave. It's a thing. And I'm going to put this back in the microwave for increments of 30 seconds, just in case it overcooks. Nobody wants overcooked mochi. Never heard of that? I'm sure it's a thing. Doesn't sound tasty to me. After another 30 seconds, you can see it is solid, it is gummy. Some people describe when you have mochi that's ready to move on to the next stage, it kind of gets a little translucent. When you add colorants or flavors, sometimes that's a little bit harder to tell, but I like to say you get something that looks a little gummy, you get something that looks a little bit of a sheen, but it's not that liquid sheen. And yes, of course, translucent, but I feel like that can sometimes be a harder description to use. Now, one of the things to note, now that this is mochi, that's great, but it's also still going to be quite warm because you just put it through a microwave. And I'm making a mess, but that's kind of what happens with mochi anyways. What we want to do is put whatever starch you want onto a surface that is clean and turn out your mochi just to help it cool a little bit more. Because at the end of the day, this has also been through the microwave. This is also going to carry some heat and slow down the cooling process that you'll want to have workable mochi. So I'm gonna just let this cool over here. See, it's still quite squishy. It's definitely warm to the touch, but I'll quit poking and see you all when this is at room temperature. It's been about 20 minutes, so I'm going to actually see if this is cooled down enough. Feels like it's room temperature to me. I also have my little rolling pin. Just wanted to show, using the ravioli cutter. If you have one, you can just use anything. You essentially make something that looks a little bit more like a ravioli or dumpling, and you just pinch this around your mochi, or around your ice cream to make ice cream filled mochi. And as you push together, it overrides the starch, whether you're using cornstarch. Again, in my case, this is potato starch. You end up with a mochi piece here. So I'm gonna stick this back in the freezer to enjoy later. but gonna just keep on continuing this with the rest of my ice cream pieces and my mochi pieces. So see you in a bit. I actually have mochi now. It's been frozen, it's been filled, but you gotta watch out for leaks so you don't wanna roll it too thin. But here is the best part. Look at that, mochi ice cream. In this case, this is ube on the outside and caramel ice cream on the inside. But you know, this is a way if you want to have unique flavors, if you are saying, I want to cut back on eating out, but I still want to enjoy things, this is a way to get both things, right? You're eating in, for sure. You didn't buy this at the store. You made it here. You might as well enjoy it, right? I'll warn you, this is how dedicated I am. I am prone to brain freeze. So this is delicious, but as expected from ice cream that's been out of the freezer, cold. But I hope you enjoyed watching. I had fun doing this. Hopefully my friends enjoy this as well, since like I said, one of the perks about this is getting to share custom things that fit all their needs too. So, till next time, stay hungry. It's so cold.